12-4, point-slope form. Now, there are different forms of equations. We've learned some of them. We've learned about standard form. Here's standard form. Some number with x plus some number with y equals some number. Standard form. That would be like 4x plus 3y equals 7. Or negative 2x plus 6y equals 8. That's standard form. Then we've done a lot with slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. So those are equations that look like y equals negative 2x plus 4, or y equals negative 5x plus 6, or y equals 3 over 2x plus 7. Remember those? Now, today we have a new form, and it's a very different form. So, very important for us to know the name that goes with the form, the name and the form. The name and the form. This one's called point-slope form. And it's interesting because it almost looks like slope-intercept form, except there's no b. But there is some interesting stuff happening here and here. They've got the actual y that just sits there and looks like y minus y sub 1. So that's going to be part of an ordered pair. They've got slope in it still. Then they've got the actual x minus x sub 1. So that is called point-slope form. And you're going to have to know all of these forms. Okay? Let me show you how it works, though, point-slope form. Sometimes they give you the equation in point-slope form, and they ask you to find things. Like they might ask you to identify a point in this line. To find a point in this line. Well, the beautiful thing about point-slope form is it's using a point. Okay? So let me show you how it's using a point. Remember, point-slope form looks like this. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. See how that fits into point-slope form? Now let's talk about the parts. We know m is slope, and look, x1, y1. Wouldn't that be an ordered pair that's on the line? And don't we have some numbers there so we could identify a point? Now, to keep in mind something important, this minus sign is part of the formula. That minus sign is part of the formula. See that? Minus sign's part of the formula in this one. So, when you write the point down, you just put the x sub 1, which is 21, and then you put y sub 1 down, which is 9, and you just identified a point that lies on that line of that equation. It's really just that simple. Now, let's do another one. Okay, here's another one written in point-slope form. So, we could find a point on the line. If it asked us to identify a point that the line passes through, we could do that. Remember the formula. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Now, so all we need is a point. Well, we've got this 8 and this 2. There's a problem with the 8. Does anyone see the problem? This says minus, this says plus. Could we change this somehow to say minus? Is there a way to make plus minus something? Okay, remember how minus a negative equals plus. Everyone remember that? So we're actually going to change this plus sign to x. Oops. We're going to change that to x minus a negative 8. Now we have a minus sign to match this minus sign. Very important to match your minus signs in this formula. So this is actually negative 8. And this one already has a minus sign, so it's 2. Well, let's do another one. Okay, here's 3 more. And at the top, notice I have written the form, so we don't have to keep rewriting it. Okay, we need to identify a point on the line. So that means our answer is an ordered pair. So, look at your x sub 1, make sure that's a minus sign, write down your 5. Look at your y sub 1, there's your x sub 1. Look at your y sub 1, make sure that's a minus sign. If it's not, change it. Change plus to minus a negative. So that's negative 7. Okay, that's all there is to it. Let's do the next one. Look, we know it's an ordered pair. Look at your x sub 1. If there's a minus sign, you're good. You put a 3. There's a minus sign on your y sub 1, great. You put the 2. 3, 2 is the ordered pair that goes on that line. Okay, last one. Look at your x sub 1. Is there a minus sign? No. So change plus to minus a negative. So that's going to be negative 7. Look at your y sub 1. Is there a minus sign? No. Change plus to minus a negative. So that's negative 4. There's your ordered pairs that lie on those lines. Now, while we're talking about it here, if I ask you what was the slope, could you tell me what the slope is in these equations? Well, sure, isn't slope always m, and don't we have an m there? So the slope of this line is 3. The slope of this line is 4. The slope of this line is 3/2. Okay, let's practice. Find the point, identify a point that lies on each line. Then, when you're done, turn your video back on and see if you got it right. Okay, here's all of your answers. Check and see if you got it right. Now, the next kind of problem that has to do with point, slope, form has directions that say this. Write the point, slope, form of the equation with the given slope that passes through the indicated point. That means they're going to give you the slope and they're going to tell you the point. And you have to put it into point, slope, form. Well, this is super easy. Just have to know point, slope, form. Remember point, slope, form? Whoops. Oh, it won't let me back up. I'll just have to scratch out. Okay, so m times x minus x1. Okay, so all you have to do is put the parts in where they go. So slope is going to go there. So we're going to have negative 2 for our m. Okay, then we're going to have x minus something, and we're going to have y minus something on this side. And here's the something. Okay, there's your point. This is our x1, this is our y1. So 4 goes there, and 1 goes there, and here's your answer. All you're doing is putting in the slope and the point into the formula, and there's your equation. Let's do another one. Okay, here's another one. The slope is 5, it's passing through negative 2, 4. So, our equation is always going to be in this form. So let's fill in the parts. Y minus, here's y sub 1, they gave it to us, 4, equals m, here's m, they gave it to us, and then we have x minus, here's our x, negative 2. Now, there's one more step when you have this. Can anyone see what the one more step is going to be? That right there needs to turn into a plus. It doesn't need to stay minus a negative. So all you have to do is copy it all down again. And you just have to write x plus 2 because minus a negative is plus. And here's your final answer. Okay, go ahead and practice these two. Write the point, slope, form. Put in the parts and write the equation. When you get done, turn it back on so you can see if you got it right. Okay, here's your answers. Here's the first one. Now, notice on number 2, there's 2 possible answers. This is a totally right answer. But since y minus 0, we actually know what that is, because anything minus 0 is itself, you can actually simplify it down to here. You can't do that with y plus 5 because we don't have any clue what y is, so how could we add them? But you always know that y minus 0 would just be y. So, on number 2, you could have this answer or this answer. They're both right. That's kind of important to know. Here's your first part of video homework. Identify a point on these lines. Point is written as an ordered pair, remember? Here's the last part of video homework. I hope you have a lovely evening.